You are born in Hyesan, North Korea, in the winter of 1995. 30 meters from a border you will one day be ordered to defend with your life. From the window of your house, you can see China. At night, their side of the river glows with electric light, and your side disappears into darkness. Your mother tells you the lights are a trick. Capitalists light lamps in empty houses, she says, to make hungry people jealous. You are 4 years old, and you believe her. You believe everything because belief is the only thing in your country that isn't rationed. You are born in the middle of a famine the government calls the Arduous March, as if starvation were a parade. Your first memories are the taste of corn husk porridge and the sound of your mother grinding pine bark into flour. One morning, you see your first dead body. A man sitting against the station wall, frozen solid, snow resting in his open eyes. Nobody stops walking. By the time you are 7, you understand that in your town, hunger is not an event. It is the weather. Your father survives the famine by breaking the law. 3 nights a month, when the moon is thin, he wades across the frozen Yalu River and comes back with Chinese rice, batteries, and medicine. It is called smuggling, and it is punishable by labor camp or by the firing squad. Everyone in Hyesan does it. The border guards know. That is what the rice is for. When you are 9, your school marches you to the airfield to watch a man be executed. He is tied to a post, and 3 soldiers fire 3 shots each. The teachers say he was a traitor who sold secrets to the enemy. Standing in the crowd, you recognize his shoes. He was your neighbor, and what he actually sold was dried fish, the same fish your father carries across the river every month. That night, you can't eat, and your father can't look at you. You realize something no 9-year-old should have to know. The only difference between your neighbor and your father is luck. When you are 12, your family's luck runs out. Your father is caught on the riverbank with a sack of Chinese medicine. He is not executed. He knows which guards to pay, but your family is marked. In North Korea, there is an invisible caste system called Songbun, and your family's rank just fell to the bottom of it. Bad Songbun means no university, no party membership, no future, not just for your father, but for you, and for your children who haven't been born yet. There is exactly one way for a boy from a marked family to wash the stain off. Exemplary military service. 10 years of it. So at 17 you volunteer before they can draft you, and you swear the oath with more conviction than anyone in the room. And the army, which has a dark sense of humor, looks at your file and sees a boy who grew up on the border and knows every current of the river. They station you in Hyesan. The boy who fell asleep every night watching the lights of China is now the one holding the rifle between his town and those lights. Basic training is 12 hours a day of ideology and beatings. You memorize the 10 principles, you memorize the shoot-to-kill order, and you memorize the most important lesson of all, the one the sergeant repeats like a prayer. A defector is not a person crossing a river. A defector is a bullet aimed at the heart of the Republic, and you are the shield. What he does not mention is that the shield is starving. Your unit's rations run out every month, and you learn that soldiers of the glorious Korean People's Army sneak into farmers' fields at night to steal corn. You came here to guard the country. Mostly, you guard your own bull. At 19, you stand your first winter watch on the river. It is minus 20 degrees. Your breath freezes on the rifle stock, and the searchlight sweeps the ice like a slow white eye. At 2 in the morning, the ice cracks. A woman is crossing, hunched low, with a child tied to her back. The order says, shoot. Your hands say no. You stand there, finger on the trigger, watching her slip on the ice, and you do nothing. It doesn't matter. The guard post downstream catches her anyway, and because it happened in your sector, the capture goes on your record. Your commander shakes your hand. Your file gets its first commendation, and the stain on your family's Songbun gets a little lighter. You are being rewarded for a woman and a child being sent to a camp. And the worst part is that a small, hungry, exhausted part of you is grateful. That night, you understand how this country actually works. It doesn't need you to be cruel. It just needs you to be tired and cold and afraid for your family. And it will do the cruelty with your hands. By 21, you know the real economy of the border. Guards are paid almost nothing, so the border pays them instead. A smuggler's crossing costs a carton of cigarettes. A phone call to a relative in China costs a bag of rice. Looking the other way for 1 hour has a price so exact that everyone on the river knows it by heart. You swore you would be different, and you are, for 4 months. Then winter comes again, and you take your first bribe from a man carrying medicine, and you tell yourself it's different because it's medicine. It is exactly what the guards told themselves when they took your father's rice. You have become the man your childhood was afraid of. The years settle into a rhythm. Watches, inspections, bribes, self-criticism sessions where you confess invented sins so no one digs for real ones. You get good at this life, disturbingly good. And then, in your 7th year of service, your childhood friend Chol-su finds you off-duty and asks you to take a walk along the river. He doesn't have to say anything. You grew up on this water, you know what it means when a man stares at the far bank like that. His sister made it to South Korea 2 years ago, and her letters, smuggled back through China, describe a world so ordinary, it sounds like science fiction. Heated floors, full markets, nobody watching. He is crossing next month, and then he says the sentence that stops your heart. He is crossing through your sector, on your shift, because you are the only guard on this river he trusts not to shoot him. Understand what he is asking. If you let him go and anyone finds out, it is not just your career, your entire family goes to the camps for 3 generations. If you report him, he dies against a post like your neighbor, and his family disappears. If you shoot him, you are a hero of the Republic, and you will never sleep again. The state has spent 26 years building this exact trap around you, brick by brick, since the day you were born. Now it locks. The night he crosses, the moon is thin, smuggler's weather, your father would say. At 2 in the morning, the ice cracks and a shadow moves out of the reeds exactly where you told him the searchlight is blind. Except the searchlight is not blind tonight, because headquarters rotated the schedule and a second guard is standing 40 meters from you, raising his rifle. You have 1 second and 2 choices, and both of them are your whole life. You fire first. Into the air. The night explodes. Alarms. Dogs, boots on frozen gravel, and in the chaos of a border post responding to your warning shot, the shadow on the ice keeps running, past the blind spot, past the midline of the river, into the dark of the far bank. Gone. At the inquiry, you say you fired the moment you saw movement, exactly as the order requires, and the darkness did the rest. They can't prove otherwise, but this is North Korea, and proof was never the point. The escape happened in your sector, so the commendations are stripped from your file, the stain returns to your family's Songbun, and 10 years of service dissolve like snow in the river. Everything you enlisted to fix is broken again by 1 bullet fired at the sky. You are discharged at 27 with a marked file, a cough that never leaves, and hands that still reach for a rifle every time ice cracks. There is no Pyongyang for you, no party card, no reward. Just Hyesan, the town where you started. 30 meters from the lights. You marry a woman whose Songbun is as broken as yours because marked families marry marked families. That is how the caste survives. You work at the market, you pay the new young guards their carton of cigarettes, and you notice they look at you the way you once looked at your father. Sometimes, on clear nights, you still climb the riverbank. Somewhere beyond those lights, Chol-su is alive. You will never know his address, never hear his voice, never find out if the world in his sister's letters is real. You gave up everything to buy a man 1 second of darkness, and you can never tell a single living soul. There is no medal for what you did. There is no word for it in your country's language. In your country, the truest act of loyalty a man can commit is officially a crime. Your son is born the following spring, in the same house, 30 meters from the same border. By 7, he has learned not to ask why the family is poor, and by 10, he can read the river's ice like a book he was born holding. One evening, you find him on the riverbank at dusk, standing very still, watching the lights come on across the water. "What's over there?" he asks. And you hear your mother's voice come out of your mouth, "Nothing, just empty houses and lamps lit to fool us." He nods, the way you once nodded. But he keeps watching the lights, and you stand behind him in the dark, praying to no one in particular that when his night on the ice comes, and in this country it always comes, someone on the riverbank loves him enough to aim at the sky.